Morning to you once again. Welcome to the last 1 hour of the show. 9 minutes past the hour. On a Wednesday like this, we'll be speaking with the NDLEA in a moment. NDLEA is raising an alarm that there is a new drug that drug barons are trying to introduce into the Nigerian space. These drugs will be made into different forms. In fact, they would even be made into eye drops. Can you imagine? Some into cough syrups that you won't know. They will use it to deceive the youth and the young ones into making use and addicted to these drugs. Femi Babafemi is the director of media and publicity of the EFCC. He will be joining us on the show this morning. I spoke with him just a moment ago. Before we bring him on the radio, let me announce that we'll be giving out at least 20,000 naira later on the show this morning. Is something that you don't want to miss for anything and anything at all. Okay, so stay here with me. Stay here, don't go anywhere. In the meantime, let's get started with our conversation this morning on the show. And we'll just go right into it. And feel free to follow and track this conversation. We'll be talking about other activities of the EFCC, NDLEA, as a matter of fact, on this show as well. So let's have you know that World Drug Reports of 2022 by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, UNODC, reveals more than 11 million people worldwide inject drugs. So the UNODC, UNAIDS, WHO, and the World Bank jointly estimated that some 11.2 million persons worldwide injected drugs in 2020. The report noted that the most common combinations of substances people inject including Africa, are cannabis-type drugs, opioids, often referred to as painkillers, stimulants, drugs, sedatives, and tranquilizers, and new psychoactive substances, MPS. These are the common types of drugs that people inject, especially around the world, in Africa to be very precise. As the 2018 National Drug Use Survey revealed, in Nigeria at that time, there were around 14.3 million drug users, of which close to 3 million suffered from drug use disorder. That's according to the UNODC. Now, according to the executive director of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, UNODC, Gada Wali, on International Day Against Drugs Abuse and Illicit Trafficking 2022, he said seizures of synthetic drugs have multiplied in the last 10 years. That's right, seizures of synthetic drugs have multiplied in the last 10 years, while opioid crisis in North America claims more lives every day. And I mean every day. And non-medical use of tramadol continues to endanger people in Africa and Middle East. This particular drug that we want to talk about is actually even stronger than tramadol. I hear it's about 10 times stronger, than tramadol. And this has given a lot of concern to quite a number of people. We have Femi Babafemi on the show this morning. Right now, he joins us via the telephone, and he will be speaking with him very, very shortly. But before then, please note down there are numbers that you can use to get across to us: 0700 993 993 993 and 01465 7190. Femi Babafemi is the director of media and publicity at the NDLEA. Mr. Femi, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Let's get down to it. I know that you have a very short time because of the activities that you're currently engaged in. Tell us about the alerts that the EFCC issued the other day about fentanyl. What is this about?
I'm sure you are referring to NDLEA now.
NDLEA, rather.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. This has to do with some information that we gathered in the course of some investigations that some cartels were trying to introduce this leather synthetic opioid, that is fentanyl, and those that are familiar with fentanyl will know what that is doing in the U.S. and some other parts of the world at the moment. This is a very lethal drug that is 100 times stronger than tramadol that we're
100
contending
times.
with here. Yes, stronger than tramadol, and even something that is 80% more potent than morphine and 100 times more lethal than heroin. You know, if something is more lethal, 100 times more lethal than heroin, then you can just imagine the lethality of that kind of a drug, and that is exactly what some unscrupulous elements are trying to introduce into the Nigerian market with our youth population as their target. And this is a drug that at the moment is responsible for more than 70% of overdose deaths in the U.S. And this is why we have to come out at the moment, because this is something that is capable of causing mass casualty, and we don't want to wait until that is happening. So we're trying to be as proactive as possible by raising the level of awareness of our citizens, of our parents, of all the stakeholders, so that we can all be on the lookout, alert, vigilant, and ensure that all of us do what we have to do from our different ends to prevent this dangerous drug from going into circulation in Nigeria. Nevertheless, like we said in our statement, we're very much on top of all the information that we're working with, and we're trailing those involved in this. And as soon as we have updates on monitoring and efforts on them, we'll definitely let the public know that.
During the course of my own little investigation on this, I learned that fentanyl is already in circulation. How true is this?
Well, I don't have that information, because it's a drug that, if indeed it is circulation, then we wouldn't be saying what we're saying at the moment.
But talk to me, Mr. Femi.
We are talking of. Okay, go ahead.
Go on, please. Talking of what?
Yeah, what I'm saying in essence is, if perhaps there could be some elements, some ingredients. Do you understand? Some ingredients of that in some other drugs, as an opioid on its own. That's fentanyl. We're not sure that we have that in circulation already, and that's why we're trying to prevent that. And whatever the case may be, we are following those involved in these dangerous threats, and we're doing all that we need to do to ensure that we save our youth population from getting consumed by these dangerous opioids.
You mentioned something earlier about appealing to leaders, parents, and all. What should they watch out for? What should people look out for? How can the general public be of help in this regard?
Now, what they need to do is, because quite a lot of our young population, a lot of our youth don't understand or don't know the dangers that these kind of drugs pose to their head. And so a lot of them will probably want to experiment with it, and that's why we're saying that parents, stakeholders should educate their loved ones about the dangers. That's why we're stating exactly the dangers. For a drug that is 100 times more potent than it can do to the human body, and if we're not saying there is a synthetic opioid that is more lethal 100 times than heroin. So this is why we're giving all of these details, including some of the symptoms like pinpoint pupils, falling asleep or losing consciousness, slow and shallow breathing, choking and goggling sound, limp body and pale blue or cold skin. All of these are things parents, guardians, stakeholders should look out for in their loved ones, especially the young ones who like to experiment with things like this.
Right.
So that is why we're giving all the information, all the necessary information, details out for people to. And when they see this kind of things, they need not wait. They should just report to the appropriate authorities and seek medical help immediately.
Is there a particular way or form this drug is when it comes in, or there is no particular? You can't really tell, whether it's in tablet or in syrup or what.
Yes, exactly. That's what we have in our statement. We also did say that this could come in various forms. It could come in liquid or powder form, and some even could produce it in as nasal sprays, as eye drop, or even produced in candy. So all of this we're giving out so that people. What matters most at this point is for people, especially the young ones, to avoid anything called illicit drug, especially all these opioids that a number of them try to experiment with. They should just avoid it, not necessarily waiting until somebody brings out something and say this is something, this is what you should do. You should just avoid it, because it's better to avoid it than to even say, I don't know what type of drug it is, because the cartels involved in all of this, they could package it. Like we've seen tramadol being packaged in a lot of forms. They come with Trafficking, comes with all manner of names and packaging just to deceive and mislead the people. But then for us, we have always detected them, we have always uncovered them and brought all of these things out. And so this is why we're also saying to the people, it may not come with the name personnel, it may come in other packaging, it may come in other forms. And so the best bet is for everybody to be vigilant on the alert and to avoid taking any illicit or controlled substance at this moment, not recommended for medical use.
Mr. Femi, I know the question on the minds of some of my listeners right now is that, why these alerts? Why can't we just basically stop this from coming in at the ports or at the border or wherever? Why do we have to pass the responsibility over, to the people?
Now, let's look at it this way. This is about all of us. This is not just about an agency of government or about any government at any level at all. This is about our lives, and we all have a responsibility as citizens, as people, as humans, to ensure public safety, public health, because we don't want to wait until it gets to us before we think, indeed, we've been affected. No, anybody can be affected, and so we don't have to be a victim before we do something. Like we always say, we all have our own spheres of influence, just like we are doing with your station, Nigeria Info at the moment. We are trying to use this platform to educate the people, to also raise the awareness we're trying to create so that people can run away from this, so that they can avoid drug abuse, because that we always say prevention is better than cure. And so we should, this is why we're doing all of this. That's and right. For us at our end, we have deployed all necessary assets at our level to ensure that we monitor the cartels involved in all of this. And we're working with a lot of our state, partners, both locally, that is nationally and internationally, to ensure that we don't suffer this. We don't suffer any calamity as a result of this. The criminal intent of these cartels involved in this.
Mr. Femi, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. We do appreciate your effort at the NDLEA and wish you best of luck.
Thank you very much, Sherry. You have a great day.
You too. Mr. Femi Babafemi is Director of Media and Advocacy at the NDLEA. He joined us right at the telephone this morning to raise awareness on the that deadly opioid called fentanyl that, according to him, drug barons are planning to introduce into the Nigerian space. And you've heard him. This is on all of us to make sure that we take care of. All right. We're almost due for a break. When we return from the break, we'll be going straight into our game for this morning, where we'll give out some cash to some lucky winners. Okay. Today is the day we play the game called One Shot. That's right. Just one shot and one shot only. You fail it, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. Lagos, stay here with me. Nigeria Info 99.3. I'm Sheriff Quadry. I'll be right back.